With My Hero Academia ending this year, I think there is no better time to discuss what the final fights will be, because they'll be here far before we know it. However, despite the title, these are merely predictions, so if you disagree with what the fights will be, that is a-okay. I am no clairvoyant, and I would love to hear what you think the final fights will be within My Hero Academia. So obviously I'm only going to discuss the main fights, so I am very sorry if I don't discuss one of your favorite side characters and who they'll be duking it out with within this final act. But without further ado, starting off the list of fights to come is none other than Kurogiri versus Eraserhead and Present Mic. As we know within Kurogiri that he is created from the corpse of Oboro Shirakumo, who was best friends with Eraserhead and Present Mic. This fight has a lot of stakes emotionally. We've seen glimpses of Oboro briefly manifesting, however, Kurogiri is still in main control and one of the central figures within the League of Villains. I definitely see this fight going in favor of Eraserhead and Present Mic, and I'm hopeful for the manifestation of Oboro during this encounter to bring solace to Aizawa and Present Mic. Kurogiri is a central component to the efficiency and effectiveness of the League, so taking him out is paramount if we want our heroes to win. Next, we likely have a good portion of our pro heroes fighting the near high-end Nomus, Spinner, and the rest of the Paranormal Liberation Front. Spinner's recent progression in the manga into taking Redestra's place foreshadows his importance in the war to come. The PLF still has worthy allies on the side of the League, and Spinner, now at the head in place of Redestro, is here to command them. Also, as we know, the Nomu are a force to be reckoned with, and it's unlikely they can be dealt with without a good influx of heroes. Likely UA's big three, Best Jeanist, and Hawks will tend to all of them while the remaining fights go on. I'm personally excited to see this fight even more so than Kurogiri versus Eraserhead and Present Mic, because I am such a giant fan of the big three. I mean, how couldn't you? Sun Eater has a super intricate design, Lemillion is one of my all-time favorite characters from UA, and one of the topics of my OG videos from way back when, and lastly, Nejire is an absolute waifu and beautifully designed character. Hawks as well is who inspired me to make my first ever video on this channel and discuss My Hero Academia, so I have a bias towards our favorite fierce winged individual as well. This fight will be amazing, and it's likely there's going to be a ton of teamwork involved due to how many people they're fighting, which is something that I can't wait to bear witness to. And as I'm sitting here speculating, the thought of how much chaos is about to ensue in My Hero Academia genuinely leaves me chills at this prospect. I hope you're all ready for an absolute banger of a year from Horikoshi. Our next fight includes many of our favorite classmates from UA, both 1A and 1B, going against the beast that is Gigantomachia. I know currently Gigantomachia is detained, but it is highly unlikely that he'll remain this way. Gigantomachia isn't an individual who can be dealt with by just one person, and it's likely he'll be taken care of by the individuals in class 1A and 1B who aren't fighting one of the central fights. I imagine within this list of people, it'll be Kirishima, Momo, Ida, and the rest of them will have to team up with Class 1B, including Shinzo, to take down this threat that is Gigantomachia. The bridge between 1A and 1B will be extended, and I'm sure we're all excited to see them team up in action. Next, we get to the most anticipated fights of the series. Toga vs Uraraka has been long awaited and a topic I've discussed on my channel numerous times. They've encountered each other several times throughout the story and clearly lack finality amongst their interactions. I've anticipated this fight forever, and I believe in the conclusion of this fight, Uraraka will aim to save Toga from her own evil impulses and help change her character into someone who can be saved. Uraraka is the central female character within My Hero Academia from my perspective, and her handling of one of the League's most important members will solidify her presence and role within the story. The transition of Uraraka over time into becoming a truly bona fide hero has been a great thing to bear witness to, and her character arc will truly be fulfilled if she's able to save Toga. This fight is one we've been teased so much about throughout the story, and now given how soon the story is ending, this tease will soon be over. One of my favorite fights to come is Dabi versus Endeavor and Shoto. Fire, fire, and icy fire. Family drama is something that is paramount in the Todoroki household, and since Dabi exposed Endeavor to the world, we've awaited the conclusion of their familial matters. I'm unsure if in this fight Dabi is someone who could be transitioned into a redeemable character. I personally don't think it's likely, but what I do think is likely is that Endeavor might die at the hands of Dabi. I feel this has been hinted at several times, and Dabi being the fantastic villain he is, it would be awfully fitting. I think the fight could definitely be on the side of Shoto and Endeavor, but it's unlikely Endeavor would be able to finish off his own son after everything he's put him through, which is where Dabi would likely get an opening to kill Endeavor. Despite the redemption of Endeavor, it's unlikely that he'll be able to get out of this final act alive from everything we've seen. Specifically, Dabi tells Endeavor to not die before they're able to see each other face to face once more, because Dabi wants the honor of killing his father. Additionally, the Todoroki family said they'd handle Toya as a family, that this final fight to come won't be one for Endeavor to handle alone. Shoto, in my opinion, hasn't had enough shine in the story as of late to me, so I am itching to see the potential of him realized within this final fight with all stakes on the line. This next fight I'm about to say is not the final fight, but it is by far the one I am most excited for, and it's not a fight I think you'd likely expect. I believe the final matchup for Bakugo will be to match up with All for One, and hear me out. Bakugo and Deku have been neck and neck, vying for the spot of the #1 hero, and Bakugo has never backed down from this aspiration. In fact, Bakugo's resolve has increased, and everything we've seen thus far within the story implies Bakugo will continually be Deku's rival, that he won't take a backseat to Deku despite how much Deku has progressed. And despite All for One not being fully in his prime, he's still easily the second strongest villain in My Hero Academia. I personally envision this fight being similar to the fight in Kamino, where it's a fight of brutality with Bakugo taking a ton of damage, but Bakugo time and time again has aimed to prove to the entire world his insatiable desire to win, his unwavering ambition for supremacy. Despite how much damage Bakugo will take from All for One, at the end of the day, his aspiration of becoming the #1 hero won't allow himself to be defeated and to die. One of the most compelling reasons for this matchup is the fact that Bakugo blames himself for All Might's defeat, for the metaphorical death of All Might in Kamino because of himself being captured. In this fight, Bakugo will aim to redeem himself, the guilt and despair he feels for mortalizing his hero within All Might. The only time we've seen Bakugo cry is in acknowledging that he was the one who ended All Might, that he was too weak. This fight, I believe, will be the most emotional. We will get to see Bakugo's humanity, his emotions he's built up over time, and now face to face with the pinnacle of evil. Within this fight, he will abolish the guilt he feels and redeem himself. And not only will this reach the climax of Bakugo's character thus far, but what he will do will help Deku to do what a hero does, to save. Bakugo being the counterpart to Deku will open up the path for Deku to save Shigaraki once All for One is out of the picture and no longer able to manipulate him. All this time they've competed for the best, but in this fight it won't be about who's #1, it'll be about saving as many people as they can. Bakugo being my favorite character of My Hero Academia does give me a huge bias towards this fight, but I truly believe the weight of his character rests upon this. The last fight I'm sure we've all expected is Deku versus Shigaraki. Currently, Deku with masterful control over One for All and Shigaraki now primed with a gamut of quirks is definitely a matchup that will have the two most powerful characters in the show on full spotlight. As we know, Deku has stated that he saw within Shigaraki someone worthy of being saved, but within Shigaraki also exists the immense hatred, loathing, and desire for destruction for the hero society, their ideals, and Deku. Shigaraki hating any remnants of All Might, his hatred is now targeted towards our protagonist who embodies the ideals and fighting style of his predecessor. This fight isn't simply a physical fight, but a war of ideals. If Deku wins and simply beats Shigaraki, he'd be physically victorious but a failure within his own ambition to save him. Heroism has many facets, but the resounding element of heroism rests on the case of saving and helping others. On the contrary, Shigaraki's desire for the abolishment of heroism centers on saving no one. His desired end goal is the destruction of society without any particular aim for a future. All for One instead has been the individual planning out the future, and he has used Shigaraki's blind hatred as a tool for reaching that goal. Shigaraki is still mentally a child, stunted by his trauma, his repressed emotion, and resounding hatred. I believe in this fight Deku will not save Shigaraki, and rather he will save Tenko Shimura who exist within Shigaraki. This fight has been teased for ages, and the conclusion of this fight will determine if Deku will truly be the #1 hero. These are what I believe the final matchups for My Hero Academia are, and I believe they are going to be absolute bangers of fights. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as it means the world to me. And as always, be Greedier, and I will catch you all next time.